Captain Plum, it's an honor to have you on the program. When you heard Donald Trump say that John McCain was not a war hero, and then sarcastically say, oh, he is a war hero because he was captured, later on in the press conference, he's now come around and said he respects John McCain, he is a war hero. What was your reaction?
My first reaction was humor. I was amused that this draft dodger is calling someone not a hero. First of all, John never called himself a hero. I never called myself a hero. None of the guys that I was with over there thought we were heroes. If you talked about any veteran, they'll say, no, we weren't heroes. So it's kind of inconsequential and somewhat humorous that that this draft dodger would actually call make a statement like that.
I should point out he got a number of deferments while in school, and then there was a medical issue apparently, and then had I guess a high draft number. It is important for people watching to know what you and John McCain and many other American service members went through in Vietnam. You were prisoners of war for almost 6 years. And I mean, there's no other way to put it. You were tortured, both of you.
That we were. John graduated from the Naval Academy a few years before I did. He was one of my flight instructors. He taught me to fly jets. I was in the same company at the Naval Academy with his brother Joe. So I knew the McCains pretty well. I was shot down in May of 1967. He was shot down in October. And he came into our camp. Clearly the most injured prisoner of war I ever saw. He had 7 broken bones, and they were twisting his bones to torture the poor guy. And yet one of the toughest and best leaders we had in that prison camp was John McCain.
He was offered early release because his father was an admiral. It would have been a PR coup. He turned that down.
That's right, he did. The Vietnamese called him the Crown Prince because they thought they had really captured somebody who was really important. Well, of course they did. But when they tried to make propaganda from that, John turned that absolutely down, got into a lot of trouble because he refused to go home early. And not just because of his dad. You know, he pointed to the rest of us. He said, you know, I've got buddies here. I've got 300 buddies here, and let them go home. Truth was, he probably had more authority, more reason to go home because he was so badly injured, even than any of the rest of us.
When you hear Donald Trump say, as he did again today, that Senator McCain hasn't really done enough, hasn't done much for veterans, what's your response? Because again, in this interview, I don't think I did a very successful job of trying to pin him down on how much Donald Trump is really following, you know, the various acts, the various bills that McCain has been involved with.
I think he did an excellent job, Anderson, because he clearly had no clue of any of these bills that you presented to him. He shot back with some kind of a broad answer to your question and just he didn't.
Right, that allowed President Obama to deflect. It's not an answer of what actually the bill itself said.
Yeah,
by the way, and I should point out that first act, I mean, it sets $500 million. It's to build 26 new medical facilities, to improve access, to make kind of a one-stop shopping for vets. I mean, there's a number of things you can argue about. Has it been instituted? Is it moving fast enough? But there's certainly things that have been done.
Well, the good news is it's focusing more attention on the Veterans Administration. Now, there are a lot of really good things happening at the VA. I use the VA as my health care provider, and so I can talk to you personally about the VA. One of the things John McCain has done, incidentally, is to coordinate the communication between the military hospitals and the Veterans Administration. 15 or 20 years ago, they didn't even talk to each other. Their data systems did not work. When I went from a Navy hospital to the VA, I carried my own paper files. And the realism is that the VA has probably the finest database, the data system in the world, any healthcare system. So they're doing a lot of really fine things. The other thing about the VA is they have more dedicated health professionals than I have ever seen anywhere else. They don't get paid extra when they do an extra operation. You know, they are solidly behind the veterans. Now, do we have problems? Of course we do, like any other big healthcare organization. But I think John McCain has done a lot to try to fix those problems.
Well, Captain Plum, it's an honor to talk to you, and I appreciate very much you being with us tonight. Thank you.